Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome you to the National Congressional Voting Caucus for Human Rights 2022 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. celebration. We've had a wonderful time all day, and finally we get an opportunity to bring in the final finale of speech on this evening in honor of the great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Let's give it up for Dr. King. We are delighted this evening to know that we have made tremendous strides among difficult days and difficult times and difficult centuries as well as decades. But truly today we celebrate this day as a day of victory. Although we have not reached into the full depths of the promised land, we are still yet pushing to get to the promised land on today. We want to just thank all of you for all that you contributed to this event. This has been a full, wonderful day of celebration. Thank you, one, and thank you all. Thank you. Yes. Now, in the closing of this event this evening, we've been here for a while now. In the closing of this event, I would like to leave these truths with you, something that you could remember as you go along your year, of what the essential message was behind Dr. Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech. First, I would like to say, in honor of Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy, we thought it would be befitting to present what is known as the "I Have a Dream" speech in the economic context, in which it was originally created by created many years ago. Also, many remember the speech as a rallying cry for equality for all people, which it was, but its original intent was to call for an end to economic inequality. Inequality that has beat us people down for many decades and many years. Inequality that has stripped us of our worth and of our growth and our prospect to live the American dream. And today, I'm so delighted to have you with us today that we can discuss the intricate nature of what Dr. King stood for in the "I Have a Dream" speech. Many remember the speech, as I said earlier, many remember the speech as a rallying cry for equality for all people, which it was. But its original intent was to call for an end to the economic inequality for all people, and to demand the right to gainful employment for all people. The full context of the speech and the audio recording, as we have heard many over the years of Dr. King's speeches, the original key takeaways this evening I want you to leave with is the original intent behind Martin Luther King's Jr. "I Have a Dream" speech was an appeal to end economic and employment inequalities. Delivered on August the 28th, thank you. The speech was King's address as part of the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. King believed the market operation of the American economy propagated unemployment, discrimination, and economic injustice. After the Dream speech, Dr. King continued to push for economic reforms that address welfare of all people. Most notably in his last book, Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos or Community. I have a dream and the civil rights movement. While we commonly refer to it as the Dream Speech, Martin Luther King Jr.'s historic address was really a combination of several speeches that Dr. King had delivered during the tumultuous years of 1962 and 63. As the civil rights movement was in full swing in America, Dr. King delivered the speech on August the 28th, 1963, from the Lincoln Memorial at the March on Washington for God, for jobs, and freedom. It was in homage to President Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. It was in homage to President Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, and also was time to pay the tribute to the centennial anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation. Most people remember these tremendous and passionate lines from the speech. Dr. King said, I have a dream that my four little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. However, it is the beginning of the speech, the third paragraph, that speaks to the righting the wrongs of the economic inequalities suffered by African Americans since the emancipation. Dr. King said, in a sense, we've come to our nation, capital today, to cash a check. When the architects of our republic wrote the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, they were signing a promissory note to which every American was to fall heir. Instead of honoring this sacred obligation, America has given the Negro people a bad check. A check which has come back marked insufficient funds. But we refuse to believe that the Bank of Justice is bankrupt. These are the words of Dr. King. The notion of the government writing a bad check was nothing new in America. Alexander Hamilton and many other founders of the American Republic used similar metaphors to describe our prolificacy throughout history. Given the magnitude of the U.S. deficit, we are arguably writing a bad check every single day in our nation. However, Dr. King was not addressing the notions of the nation's debt in that context. He was discussing income inequality. King's point was that the economic system here in America had grown into have left African Americans and poor people behind entirely. Sadly, income inequality has only become worse in the U.S. and around the world in the past 60 years. Wealth is concentrated in a very narrow percentile. Many people in the world live on meager wages. For those fortunate enough to have stable jobs, Wage growth has barely budged relative to inflation for over 50 years. The path to stable middle-class life has disappeared for millions of hard-working people who live paycheck to paycheck and can't save or invest for their future. The market, my brothers and sisters, this evening, operation of our economy. In his final book, he said, where do we go from here? Chaos or community? King addresses the market operation of our economy that propagates unemployment and idleness. While King had no idea that technology, artificial intelligence, and smart robots might one day come for our jobs. He was referring to the profit-driven motivation behind our market system that compel executives to manage to maximize the bottom line and those share prices. While we root for higher profits as investors, we don't think enough about creating sustainable economic systems that addresses the welfare of our people or about the impact on our planet. King addressed the farmer through these prophetic words. King says, we have come a long way in our understanding of human motivation and of the blind operation of our economic system. Now to realize that dislocations in the market operation of our economy and the prevalence of discrimination force people into idleness and bind them in constant or frequent unemployment against their will. The poor are less often dismissed from our conscience today by being branded as inferior and incompetent. We also know that no matter how dynamically the economy develops and expands, it does not eliminate poverty. Now, I stopped by this evening to tell you that we as Americans, we as a people, we do not have to stand by idle and expect and accept the ideological viewpoint that we must be poor and impoverished all our lives. There is a remedy to poverty, and it's called economic equality. Can I get one witness today? We must rise above this notion that we will never rise against poverty. Poverty can be defeated in our day and time, but we must have responsible governance, responsible politicians, responsible leaders of goodwill to all men that are created equal, one nation under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all. King's controversial solution was to force the government to create jobs, to enhance the social good for those people who could not find work. Some may call that a welfare state. Others might consider it as a form of socialism. For King, it was about the fundamental right to work so that everyone could reach their potential and become consumers to keep the economic pump primed, in his own words. This is what King says about that. The problem indicates that our emphasis must be twofold. We must create full employment, or we must create incomes. King went on to say people must be made consumers by one method or the other. Once they are placed in this position, we need to be concerned that the potential of the individual is not wasted. New forms of work that enhances the social good will have to be devised for those for whom traditional jobs are not available. This is why I say even to us in here today in our state capital in Raleigh, North Carolina, I say to Charlotte, North Carolina, and I say to my home city of Hope County, North Carolina, that when we are looking to bring people up out of poverty, we must, our governing body must look to create new and sustainable jobs for all people of the county of Hope. Y'all not going to talk to me today. Of Hope County, North Carolina. We must look beyond our stationary and ambit of where we live, and we must look in the nation and find other jobs that may not be farm jobs, may not be produce jobs, may not be chicken plant jobs. We need to find some jobs that are building into the technology and ever building infrastructure through fiber optic cables, through digital means. Places like Amazon, places like eBay and Cisco, we must look beyond where we are today and realize that there is still hope. Even though we are in a situation called COVID-19, there is still hope on today. There is still hope in the midst of this trial that we're going through. There is still hope for God's people. For where there is a downtrodden faith, there is a God that sits high and looks low and says, keep pushing and do not give up. That's right. Now, what was the message behind I Have a Dream speech? Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream speech was a call for equality. It identified the faults of America and what measures were needed to make it a better place. A central theme throughout the speech was the importance of everyone being treated equally. Here in America, we still try to work the operation of the delusion that all Americans are created and treated equal. I come to let you know today that I do not ascribe to that false notion. We all are not created or treated equal in this society. There are the haves and the have-nots still of today. There are the elite and the non-elite. There are the poor and the wealthy. There are the ones that think that they're better and the ones that feel as if they're nobody. But one thing I can say today, that everybody, irrespective of where you come from, irrespective of what you have, irrespective of what you do not have, you are somebody, and God, He provides for all of us. And we must all carry the same message, that yes, we can make it, we can do it, and we can break this inequality. I wish I had just one more. We can break this inequality. This inequality is only here today because we permit it to be.
That's right.
We need to look no further than our Federal Reserve. We need to look no further than our Congress and Senate. We need to look no further than our elected politicians in which we elected to do our bidding. We need to look no further this evening, my brothers and sisters, at the point of why we are having inequality still to this day. Although Dr. King is gone, the fight still goes on. Although Dr. King has done his due diligence in bringing the message forth, we must not be delusionalized to believing that everything is all right and that we have come out of inequality. Inequality still exists to this day, but we must eradicate it by our voices and our vote. That's how we as Americans will win this battle. You cannot win a battle sitting back idly.
That's it.
And watching the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. You cannot win this battle with a mind of a cynic, one who don't believe in themselves. I want you to understand this evening, you must believe in yourself and know that there is going to be a better and a brighter day for you. You must believe that no matter where you come from, whether you come from the ghetto or from the suburbs, you can be all that you want to be and desire to be because God is on today and because we have our inalienable rights as humans, amen, human beings to do exploits, to do great things, to go to college, to get that job that we desire, to get that career that we want, because if God be God.
Speak it, Dr. Carr.
What is economic metaphor that Dr. King uses throughout his I Have a Dream speech? Dr. King often used metaphors in his speeches. In his dream speech, he used the metaphor of a bad check to illustrate the inequality and economic injustice that many faced. Dr. King wanted the government to eradicate poverty by giving every American a guaranteed, responsible, and reasonable income. The bottom line as I close this evening, the above examples that I've given you this evening were not the only time King addressed economic issues in writing or in speech. On April 3rd, 1968, the night before he was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee, Dr. King delivered a speech at Mason Temple in support of striking sanitation workers. And if you haven't read about it, it's worth the read. While some may not agree with his ideas or the principles behind the civil rights movement, his impact is undeniable. Dr. King was able to connect the right of all people in America to the economic system and the injustices it manifests through his essays, his speeches, and his teachings in ways that profoundly changed the moral consciousness of a country. And today I close, my brothers and sisters, with these timeless words. I have a dream. I have a dream today still rooted in the American dream. Still rooted in the dream that Dr. King carried forth. And beyond the dream come vision. For my Bible and the prophetic book of old said, church without a vision shall perish. And I say to you today, my brothers and sisters, a people without a vision have no other course in life but to perish. If I perish, it's because I refuse to have hope. If I perish, it's because I refuse to believe in myself. If I perish, it's because I've taken in the false dogmas of man and saying that I will always be in poverty. I will always be down. I will always be out. And there'll never be a time in my life that I'll come up out of my rut. I stopped by this evening to let somebody know that we as an American people, even under Dr. King's vision, we shall overcome. We shall overcome every inequality, every amen naysayer's word. We shall overcome this evening every place that we've been downtrodden up under. We shall get up out of the murk and miry clay, and we shall go up on the mountaintop in which Dr. King proclaimed. We shall rise above it all, and we shall win this battle against poverty. We shall rise, and we shall rise together. Can I get a witness in here today? We shall rise above it all. I have a dream. Yes. And that dream is my reality. Thank you so much today for your time and your patience at this beautiful gathering. And I thank you for all the hard work in which you put forward. But I want you to remember one thing on this Dr. Martin Luther King's Day, is that you are somebody. And that no matter how your situation looks, no matter how bleak your city may be, no matter what the crime statistic is in your community, no matter how many impoverished people we have in our community, no matter how broke, busted, and disgusted you think you are, no matter how it seems as if you're not being heard by your elected official, just know one thing: you got the force, you have the power, you have the money in your hand. It's called your voice. It's called your vote. It's called your vote, and your voice is your money. And you can rise and come up out of this dilemma by using your power. And I say, God bless you. God bless the United States of America. God bless the National Congressional Voting Code for Human Rights. And God bless Emmaus Cathedral, Greater Pentecostal Assembly, Churches of the First World International. Thank you so much. God bless you this evening. Thank you.